Hey, how's it going, guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and today we're going to be doing a $1,300 gaming PC that you should be able to get all the parts for.
This build is brought to you by Antec. This is one of their monthly sponsored builds where we take a look at some of their newer cases. We've been focused on their Flux line of cases. This is the P10 Flux, we'll talk more about here in a minute, but it's a very stealthy build focused on keeping a really silent PC and also having some decent airflow while doing it. So let's go ahead and talk about each individual part and how it makes up this PC build.
So for the processor, we decided to pass up on the 10400 for once. We went with the i5-10600K because it was just a little bit more and it's overclockable. We figured for a case like this that's aimed around being quiet but having good airflow, it'd be fun to try to go with no liquid cooling, nothing but their spans, and then basically using a cooler, which we have here because these don't come with a cooler. This is the ID Cooling SE224XT, kind of a long name, but it's just a basic 120mm cooler with a single black fan. Really is going to blend in well with this case, which Matt will talk about in a minute, but no side panels. So it's gonna be weird for us. We're used to having side panels, but this is meant to be sleek, quiet, and just fully functional. But this handles up to 180 watt TDP, and this being around a 65 watt TDP processor, we should be able to do some overclocking with this and still keep the build relatively cool and quiet. Now for the motherboard, we have an MSI Z490A Pro. This is just a really good Z490 motherboard and they're not super expensive. We did get this one at a severely discounted rate. We have the full listing in the description down below that's for a brand new one. We did pay less for this one because it has a broken PCI lane. It's kind of bent out of shape. So we're gonna be using the bottom PCI lane for our graphics card. Should still work perfectly fine and just like it normally would. It's just the graphics card is gonna be a little bit lower than normal. But like I said, not a big deal for us. You guys will be getting a new one, so don't worry. Hi, Future Jackson here. So we actually ended up replacing that Z490 motherboard because once we got the graphics card installed, it was a PCI 4 lane, and that made it to where games wouldn't even launch, especially with as powerful of a graphics card we had. So we had to buy a new motherboard. We just had it one day shipped from Amazon. It was like 150 bucks, which originally you guys were gonna pay that anyways, so no big deal. Just ignore me now. Bye-bye. Now for RAM, from PNY, once again, we have the Accelerate RGB 16 gig 3200 megahertz kit. It's dual channel. Once again, it's Intel, so relatively slow speed, but RGB in a case that you really can't see. That's why we really tried to go with like no RGB, but honestly, this RGB stuff's so cheap, it's like, why not? It'll be fun when you open up the case and this is all you see.
Surprise.
Now for storage, we have the Lexar NM610. This is a 1 terabyte Gen 3 NVMe SSD. You guys know that we like Gen 3 SSDs because, well, they're pretty blazing fast and they're really cheap for the price right now. Really good looking Lexar SSD though. I like being able to see all the IC chips and everything. And honestly, Lexar makes pretty good quality products. So, they've been doing storage for years. So we think that this will work pretty good in this build.
Now for the graphics card, we have a used special here. This is the Asus GeForce RTX 2070 Super. Now we picked this thing up for, well, an inflated price. Sadly, graphics cards are still very expensive, but it does fit within the $1,300 budget. So if you're actually building this PC right now, you should roughly pay what we paid for this card, which we did end up paying roughly $500 for this card, which is definitely a price increase over normal, but the 2070 Super is still an awesome card, and if you are willing to overpay for it, you will not be disappointed. And now for the power supply. This is our favorite Amazon special. This is the Aries Game Power Supply. This is a 650 watt power supply that is 80 plus bronze. We've been using these things a ton in our PC builds and have not been disappointed. They come with nice black sleeve cables that look really nice in a PC build, even though we're not gonna be seeing it. It really does not matter in this case. But anyways, it is a really well-built power supply that we do trust and we have used a lot. Now let's talk about today's sponsor, Antec, and their P10 Flux case. Now this case, as we mentioned, is designed for, well, being really silent and very sleek and minimal. So as you can see right here, there's this open door that, well, Jackson had this off already, he was looking at the fans, that comes with this nice door and also 3 pre-installed fans with this fan grill. So of course, if you want some better airflow, I highly suggest having this door open. But if you want a quiet optimized case, boom, look at that, very quiet. We'll go ahead and open up this side panel real quick. But the beauty of the Flux lineup of cases is the fact that it is optimized for airflow. So I would think this case more falls on the lines of silence with a little bit of airflow in between, because what they do include is this reverse fan, which has a reverse fan blade, so you can install it over the power supply basement and pull air from the bottom of the power supply, which actually comes in from this grill right here, and add some extra airflow. So it's kind of a different alternative to having like a full mesh front. You still are gonna get some airflow with these 3 fans, but with this being blocked off, you're actually getting a lot of your airflow from the backside panels. But that is their way of getting away with having a non-mesh front panel. So now we have used their flux cases in numerous builds and have noticed a increase in the performance that you do get because the temperatures are a lot lower with that fan pushing up into the graphics card, CPU, and all that sort of stuff. So we'll definitely do some testing during the benchmarking run, but yeah, very minimal case. Let's put this thing together and see how she performs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have this $1,300 gaming PC all put together, let's talk about a couple benchmarks real quick. Now, we decided to test this PC in a handful of titles, those being Call of Duty Cold War, Doom Eternal, and Shadow the Tomb Raider. First up with Call of Duty Cold War on high settings with anti-aliasing turned down to medium, which is how I prefer to play games like this. We got an average of over 100 plus FPS on the Nuketown map. Honestly, the pairing of the 2070 Super and 10600K just makes a whole lot of sense because you can actually buy the 10600K and the 2070 Super on the used market, while albeit you are paying a price premium, can still perform like any other high-end GPU on the market. You're gonna be paying a lot of money right now to get any sort of graphics card right now, and I don't see that getting better anytime soon in 2021. Hopefully it does, but with the rise of cryptocurrency mining right now, it doesn't look too hot. So the used market's probably your best bet, and paying around $500 something for a 2070 Super, if you're looking for a high-end gaming PC, is probably your best option. Now, that doesn't mean when things get better, you can't easily sell that 2070 Super for a decent amount of money and upgrade to something like an RTX 3080 when it is in stock, because the 10600K could definitely handle a higher end GPU. So, for the sake of building a PC now and having something that gets some really good performance and the ability to upgrade later down the road, I think this is a really good option. Next up is Doom Eternal, and on max settings at 1080p, we got over 200 plus FPS. This is another AAA title that we'd like to test, and while it shows that on max settings you have no problems getting over 200 FPS. This PC would be great for a high refresh rate monitor. You could definitely stretch into 1440p as well if you like. 1440p gaming is really easily done on the 2070 Super, but if you're looking for like 240Hz gaming, you definitely could get away with it on a 1080p 240Hz monitor as well. So you have a lot of options with this PC, and for the price, you really can't complain. And last but certainly not least is Shadow the Tomb Raider. With the built-in benchmark on high settings, we ended up averaging 124 FPS. This PC is great for all AAA titles. It can definitely handle Cyberpunk on higher settings, and also if you're someone who plays esports, you can easily play games like Fortnite, Valorant, CSGO, and Rocket League, all those kind of games, no problem whatsoever at 1080p, 1440p if you want to, and be able to enjoy a high refresh rate experience. Overall, for $1,300, this PC is what it is. A few months ago for $1,300, you definitely could have gotten more performance under the hood. But unfortunately, given everything going on in the world, we're pretty much stuck with this being a $1,300 option. But at least at the time of recording this video, you're actually able to buy most of this stuff. So hopefully that stays the same. And if you're somebody who has a $1,300 budget and is willing to make somewhat of a sacrifice compared to a few months ago, I don't think you'll be that disappointed with this PC. I also have to give a big plug to Antec with their P10 case. That reverse blade fan left our GPU running nice and cool throughout this entire benchmark run. So if you're interested in a case to keep your graphics card running nice and cool while not running super loud, and also if you're looking for a very minimal looking case like the P10, you should definitely consider Antec and their Flux lineup of cases. They're absolutely great for great thermal performance while not breaking the bank. So now that we finished the benchmarking section of today's video, how are we going to bring Jackson back in here to wrap this video up real quick?
Alright guys, so as you expected, this PC performed really well, and this is the first time that we actually don't have to have the PC plugged in and showing it off to you guys, because you wouldn't know if it's on or off right now. And for some people, this is a really minimalistic and really sleek build that they would love.
If you like RGB, this is probably not the case for you. Antec has a lot of different cases with RGB, but the P10 is awesome for a workstation environment where you really just don't need anything flashy, you don't want to just show off all the crazy components on the inside, or you just really don't like RGB in general. This might be a good case for you. I really do like the build quality on this case. This hinge right here that opens up is really cool, so you get some extra airflow, and there is a fan control switch on the top right here, which actually makes the fans really quiet on the lowest settings. So if you want a really silence optimized build while not breaking the bank, the P10 from Antec should be #1.
So thanks again to Antec for sponsoring today's video. If you guys want to pick up the super silent case or any of the other cases, check the links in the description down below. Also, if you want to pick up any of these other parts and replicate this build, links in the description are affiliate links and they do help us out. Also, do not forget to check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastybros.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. Adios. Hey guys, if you want more Toasty Bros other than the stuff you're watching right now, check out our float plane. We just uploaded something that's talking about tech questions, something like that, you know, fun stuff. Check it out. See you guys in the next one.
I got some questions for you.
Swap with us. You actually have like.
But it's in float plane if it's not behind the scene, so I'll be on the scene and you'll be behind the scene.
Sure.